Well, the battle for Mosul continues this morning. More than 100 U.S. troops moving forward with Iraqi and Kurdish forces. Let's bring in Iraq and Afghanistan veteran and Fox News contributor Pete Hegseth. Pete, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. What do you make of the latest developments out of Mosul?
Well, it's only day two, and they've set a lot of the conditions for that siege. It's not going to be easy. It's going to eventually be block to block. If they want to keep the momentum, they're going to start pushing Americans more and more forward with lower level units, because ultimately the Iraqis, they have some capabilities, but it's going to be our capabilities on top of it that are the chief accelerant. But the big question about Mosul is what's next, and they don't have a what's next plan, which is why even though you take the city, doesn't mean you fundamentally change the conditions on the ground.
So you've got these 100 U.S. troops now helping, but also the Kurdish troops and the Turks are together. How does this play out when you know that these two groups were initially enemies and now they're working together?
They're sort of working together temporarily, but the aftermath of how the Baghdad government, which is dominated by Iran, you've got Sunnis, ultimately a police force that's supposed to hold the city afterwards. Then you've got the Kurds, who the Peshmerga are arguably the best fighting force on the ground, and then you have the Turks as well, who are training forces. But no one's decided who's going to have the political and military power afterwards. So yes, let's kill ISIS and defeat them. But as we learned in Iraq many times over, if you don't have a plan afterwards, then it's just going to drag on.
Pete, obviously what I think is happening and what others, and you've referenced as well, is the president's trying to get this all squared away before Hillary gets into office, number one. Number two, it's going to take a good year and a half to go door to door, reestablish what we actually gave up prior to doing this again. And we would not be here, Maria. Let's not forget, if we had not left a transition force, a quick reaction training force there, re-executed the status of forces agreement. To blame it on President Bush, as Hillary tried to do, is laughable. And the question about what President Obama was saying about Putin and Donald Trump, with all due respect, the only reason Putin is emboldened right now is because of that reset with Russia and that failed foreign policy in Syria when they drew the red line. And it gave not only Putin, but China, ISIS, and all these other terrorist groups basically the ability to say, you know what, the United States isn't going to do a thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of, there's a great Wall Street Journal editorial about that President Obama leaves office with 5 hotspots now, and they point out in terms of dealing with Russia and all the talk about the Trump campaign and the hacks. What has the U.S. government done? What has the Obama administration done to crack down on previous hacks by the Russian government? Even that country harboring Edward Snowden. For the love of God.
Well, why would he feel the empowerment to insert Russia into the Syria conflict in the beginning? I mean, just to begin with, they inserted themselves.
They inserted themselves because they had a very clear strategic goal, and we had strategic drift. We were unwilling to make decisions. We didn't enforce red lines. We created the chaos. The ironic part, in Iraq, there's 6,000 Americans there now. That's about the size of the residual force that we could have left behind and avoided this whole thing.
Wow.
It's incredible, Maria.
Well, and this assault is a long time coming, and a lot of these Islamic State fighters, which Ambassador Bolton has pointed out, they're gone. They've moved on to other areas. They've moved on to Yemen. They've moved on to Libya, for example. So that's what happened, that if the Islamic State is weakened at this point in Iraq, well, it's because those fighters
they're going to live the fight.
And let's not forget Guantanamo Bay. This is one of the things that the president wants as part of his legacy, that he closed it down. And another Gitmo detainee has been released. He was released after 14 years of captivity. The man was never charged with a crime in the time that he was detained. What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I mean, he was there when I served there in 2005. They're trying to clear it out as quick as they can. This guy was a particularly high profile. He wrote this book, Guantanamo Bay Diaries, about how he was so terribly mistreated. And what it's going to do is continue to perpetuate the myth that Guantanamo Bay is a gulag, which is exactly how the Obama administration has portrayed it. All they want to do is shut it down, and in doing so, they will take away a very effective tool in the war against radicalism.
Maria, I've been there as well, and I agree with Pete. It is not a gulag. It is one of the best-run military facilities probably in the world, and our men and women who serve there do yeoman's work. And if you go there and actually see how they're treated and see what's actually going on, to think that we're not going to have the ability, if we capture somebody on the battlefield, to actually bring them to a secure facility and get, pursuant to the applicable laws, any and all information is outrageous. I mean, what are they going to do? They're either going to kill them in the battlefield.
Well, that's what's happening right now, and we're not getting
we're not getting, or they're going to give them to some other foreign government that really doesn't want them. They don't have the same, rules of engagement as we do. I think it's a huge mistake, and so does Congress.
Does Gitmo come up tonight? So we've got the third and final presidential debate taking place here in Vegas tonight. the two candidates will focus on immigration and foreign hotspots. Those were the two among the topics that Chris Wallace put out there. President Obama touched on why Trump has surprised him with his foreign relations. Watch this.
Mr. Trump rarely surprises me these days. I'm much more surprised and troubled by the fact that you have Republican officials who historically have been adamantly anti-Russian and in fact have attacked me for even engaging them diplomatically, now supporting and in some cases echoing his positions. It's quite a reversal.
I mean, he's going to say what he needs to say or thinks how he needs to spin it. What Donald Trump needs to stand on that stage and say is, are we safer today than we were 8 years ago? Do you want a continuation of the policies of leading from behind? Hillary Clinton was a part of them when she was Secretary of State. She supported them, and she always has a public and private position. We saw that on the Iran deal. She was for the deal, but then talking to Wall Street bankers, oh, maybe we bomb Iran. Where does she really stand? And do we want that continuation?
And she actually
then
said
Trump
that
can
in the
provide
email.
a contrast.
She said that in the speech.
Yeah.
You have to have a public and a private position.
That's right.
And the hope is that Chris Wallace obviously does a good job that the other moderators have not been able to do, to actually let them talk, let them do their thing, but then get them to focus on the issues. And Dagan, I think you were right, talking about the fact that, we need to focus on the issues. We need to start to get people out there and talk about the things that we care about that affect our country so dramatically.
Yeah.
It's not right for the American people. The American people care about jobs and national security.
They do, but one of the topics is also fitness to be president, and that's a giant ball of wax for both of those candidates. And again, it's how you handle yourself, and it's how you counterpunch.
The question is, will he do that? Honestly, he's got a new phrase he's been using: drain the swamp. Meaning all the muck in Washington, all the quid pro quo, the WikiLeaks. You want that gone. He needs to stand up and say, "I will be that change agent on the big issues that matter to you."
That's
he can do that. He's got a shot.
That's one of the, just in private conversations, like being down south in recent months. That's one of the things that even people who haven't fully decided to vote for him, that is one of the major reasons that they would vote for him. And basically, they just fire all the bombs.
Right. Well, that's
really.
I mean, that's what he needs to message out there, that a vote for him is a vote to break the corruption and for the movement, not necessarily for the man.
He's right on the issues, Maria, but it's the way he's delivering it. He's missed so many opportunities to really hit it out of the park after last debate, after everything that positively happens or negatively comes out about her, he never kind of hits it, he never hits that home run. That's the biggest frustration.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's turned into she's a much better boxer than anybody ever imagined. Because
she's prepared.
She did a perfect rope-a-dope in the first debate, and then people came away from the second one going, did she lose? Well, but she won by not really.
That's what she's going to do. She's going to go to prevent defense again tonight and hope that she doesn't make any big mistakes.
Yeah, I like the way you put it, rope-a-dope, because I think that's what it was. You just kept him on defense the whole, or offense the whole night. All right, Pete Hegseth, good to see you.
Thank you
so much.